Boop. I gotta have a hat on. But it's weird. I gotta have a hat on, but like this one's too warm. It's like there's too much comfiness in this one. I will fall asleep. But this one's just right. Anyway, thanks for the fine folks at Reactor. Yeah, Reactor. Hey, it's almost like it's a sponsorship ad. I'll just turn it around. Hey, brought to you by Reactor, who's keeping my head warm. Reactor is a design firm in New York. Oh hell, I hate New York. What are we doing with that? Nah, I'm just kidding. Um, Anyway, let's get this underway. Am I streaming? I am streaming. Hey, it's Feedback Loop. It's a very eventful Wednesday. Holy crap! I got to be honest with you, folks. We're starting today a little behind because I don't know. I was watching PBS and they were just lobbing people under the bus like it was nothing. If you haven't been watching the proceedings happening in D.C., subscribe to Impeachment FYI so that you're not losing your entire life to what's happening over there. It's very distracting right now. It's very hard to keep focused on what's ahead of us. But damn it, I'm going to do my best. And I'm so glad that we have so many really cool, interesting projects to look at. We're going to take a look at some work from Melanie today. We're going to take a look at some work from Rebecca. We're going to start with Luigi, though. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we can get started. And yeah, let's get this underway. So nope, we're not switching that. Yeah, so let's see here. All right, well that is Rebecca's work. We're going to come back to that in a second. Yeah, here's Luigi. So Luigi has been working through his story map. And what's interesting, I mean, this is like a really, really great first take on what needs to happen with regard to your project. Most people have not necessarily utilized a story map. A lot of times we create user stories. So we'll say something like, as a user, I need to create an account, or as a user, I need to be able to retrieve a lost password, or as a user, I want to view a menu. But we don't necessarily think about the steps that are just below the surface. And what you'll find over time is that there are a number of things that you can do in a sprint, and there's a lot of things, but that doesn't quite get you to the complete user story. So, user story maps allow us to break out the discrete tasks that are associated with a user story and begin to chip away at what can we build in this sprint? What needs to be built in the next sprint? What order of operations are we going to do to progressively continue enhancing our work? And I think it's great for priority setting. I think it also allows you to look at the user stories that we write in a more nuanced way. Technically anything that's down here in the tasks area, that could be something that really was a user story of its own. But it's coming up to, and really these are user stories, but it's rolling back up to this task. And of course that's under the epic. When we look here, the things that Luigi's building out in his first sprint are clearly identified here at the top. So a user wants to create an account. What are the things that I have to have ready to go for that to occur? Well, I've got to have an onboarding page. I got to create a sign-up form. So there's got to be a sign-up form on that onboarding page. I need to be able to confirm that, like, hey, you submitted the stuff. And then down here in Sprint 2, he's got, okay, well, when you create that onboarding page, maybe after the confirmation page, it'll take you to set up your profile, and you can set up a profile icon. But he's not including that in wave 1. So I think that's a smart break. Wave 2, or the user needs to be able to retrieve a lost password. So you've got to be able to get provide a link, and then create a form to update and change the password. That's very logical. You will have users almost immediately forget their password. So this is something that's got to be there. And as you can see, that's pretty much the end of that cycle. And that's pretty much just onboarding. Now down here, he's got ordering. And with ordering, we have view menu. And I just have to, I always have that momentary scared moment of, oh my God, I'm not sharing my screen. But I am sharing my screen. So with ordering, he has, okay, to order, I need to view the menu. So he's going to create a menu homepage, and he's going to display food categories. So he has the homepage and the food categories. I'm guessing that there are going to be food items of like display food individual items. So I think that maybe that's something that's missing here. And sometimes it's something in our head that seems obvious. Like, oh, well, if I'm displaying food categories and I've created a homepage, that's great. There's food items on that page. But that's not clear, because when I look down, I'm like, okay, well, where are the items at? Well, you have display featured meal section, and then you have like, okay, well, I'm going to add reviews, and that's great. I think I would add a story here for display individual items. It seems obvious, but this is where the story map is really holding you accountable to communicate exactly what you mean to all the members of your team, because people are going to come back to this. And this is like the board. We used to have one I've worked places where we would create a board, like a cork board, we put it on the wall, and then we would have cards, and we would stack out, okay, so what exactly are we doing this week on these projects? And we had a great product manager, Caitlin, and she would go through and like rearrange the board every week and move new tasks up. And a lot of times there were tasks that were on the board that didn't move off because of a conflict or additional requirements were needed, something. So some of those stayed up, some of those moved down. But this is our board. This is what we're planning to do. And one of the things that I've seen people confused about is, okay, it says sprint 1. What is sprint 1? And sprint 1, for us, we should really look at this in 1 week sprints. I don't think that there's anything in like an intro to UX course that should be looked at like a month-long build. Okay? Our sprints, we should be thinking about them in terms of, okay, what are we going to do next week? And this should be what we're doing next week. Now, what we're really using this board for is to identify what's going in that first prototype. And our first prototypes, because you lack the vision to see exactly what's coming ahead, but I wrote the course, so I know what's coming ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to be creating content for our homepage and our application. And then we're going to also have sketches that will sketch out all the different pages that we're going to need. Then we will take the content that we wrote, take the basic idea of the sketches, combine them so that we have wireframes, and then we will connect those wireframes together to have a first prototype that will be testable. The question, and this is something that I've posed to, I was working with Kara last night, and I said, I want you to think about the persona that you wrote. And the persona that you wrote, ask yourself, what test are you going to ask of a user to see if you're meeting the needs of that persona? And she said, one of the first things was like, can you find the meal plans? Can you purchase the meal? Can you find family options that apply to to your group, and this was going into food types and serving sizes. And then can you update like your delivery address? Can you change it from home to work and vice versa? And asking yourself the question, mapping out what the questions are that are going to be in the prototype test it gives you a really quick delineation between, okay, what has to be in sprint 1 and what can go into sprint 2. So as we're going here, like searching for food items, he's basically put search off until the next sprint. Placing an order. This is a food delivery app. You have to be able to place the order. So you're going to need a shopping cart. You're going to need the ability to add items. You're going to need the ability to check out. The option, you're going to need a page. You're going to need to check out. You're going to need a confirmation. And confirmation is really important because a lot of times one of the most frustrating things that you can do online is enter in information and then have nothing occur. It's just like, well, did it go or didn't it go? So I like the fact that I'm seeing confirmation over and over again. Confirmation for the account sign up, confirmation for the food place, confirmation for the payment method. I'm just kind of looking through here, so I don't see the others, but these are the clear points where I need to know that confirmation has occurred. So here, one thing, Luigi's clearly said when I'm placing an order, the ability to add or remove items from the order, that's like a wave 2 thing. And that's borderline, okay? What stinks about that is for the first version, if you accidentally add something, you basically have to delete the whole order. But he's placing a bet that most people won't need to do that action. And I think that's a hard bet to make, but it's a logical one. And it's not like he's saying he's never going to build that. He's just saying he's going to build that later because while these items are required to make an order, the ability to edit the order is not required to make the order. And this is where you get into those hard decisions. Of course we want that ability in the prototype. Of course we want to see if people can figure out how to add and subtract items. But you can't build everything in a single sprint. You have to make hard decisions. And that sucks. A lot of times we're like, oh, that's got to be in there. And you don't have time. You have what's something else that you could take away? Like something else down here. So we have billing. Could I take away the ability to add or change a payment method? Well, no, I have to be able to collect the payment. What about the billing address? Well, no, we need that to confirm that the credit card belongs to the person. The payment method. So, we're confirming that you've updated your payment. Like nothing there can change. Delivery. So choose delivery or pickup. Well, if I'm going to have them deliver it, I need to be able to tell them if I'm getting it delivered or if I'm picking it up. I need the because the billing address may be different from the delivery address. I need to be able to collect that. Select the store location for pickup. The interesting thing here is we are committing to picking up. What you might be able to do here is say, you know what, we're just doing delivery right now, or we're just doing pickup right now. We're not doing both. And that allows you to edit this further. But what I'm suspecting, and Luigi, I don't recall everybody's personas right away. I'm suspecting that your user research shows a lot of people like to pick up their order, and then it's almost equal number of people like to have it delivered. So in those instances, I could see like, hey, you know what? I don't have a clear-cut favorite. I have to do both, and that's logical. So fees, view delivery fee. I need to know how much it's going to be. View minimum order. View order minimum for free delivery. Tip. I need to have the ability to add a tip. Adding to options for the tip, like this would be like preset determined options, like depending on the price, show them how much it would be for 10%, 15%, 20%. That's a wave 2. view remaining amount to be spent for free delivery. So that now he's got like a third tier here. So we have, sprint 1, sprint 2, and then release 3. Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure why release is used there, but you can look at some of the stuff that's down here: customer meal reviews, gift cards, delivery tracking, remaining amount to be spent for free delivery. So this is like that. I'm going to coax you into free delivery by showing you, hey, just spend $5 more and you'll avoid the $7.99 delivery charge or whatever. That's good to have on the board. Overall, this is pretty good, Luigi. I like the fact that I have a cart. I've seen that missing before, like, hey, we're missing the cart. I've also had, I think for you, the individual food items, like displaying individual items is missing. Customization of meal, add, remove ingredients, special instructions, that's all secondary. Sharing the menu, and sharing was important for a lot of people because you're not just ordering for yourself. You want to see if somebody else wants something different off of the menu, so you want to be able to share that with them. And then customer support was pretty important across the board with research as well. So you want to have a robust ability to contact customer service, see where your meal is, ask for updates, things like that. So Luigi, overall, I really feel like this is pretty good. Ultimately, this comes down to what are you going to test, and not only what are you going to test, but have you built out the aspects of this that align with the unique needs of your user personas? If you have, then I think it's great, and you should move forward. I would add that cart item or individual items thing. But if you have not, if you find yourself identifying holes based on the questions that you're going to ask when you're testing this, then this could be more robust. If we're being completely honest with you, while this is a pretty robust user story map, most projects will be much, much bigger than this. So it would not be shocking to me at all if we went through user flows and found like 10, 20 other things that we could add here. I don't think it's necessarily important because we're trying to build a testable prototype to see if you're aiming at the right target. And I think most of the things that you have here are in line with that. So I'd move forward. I would simply encourage you to go back through, hit this with the question of, okay, I'm testing X. Is it covered here? And then once you do that, I think you're off and running. Obviously, you are in the you're reading through content strategy for UX. So I really think that your head's already moving forward. The one thing I didn't see here, though, now that we're kind of focusing on that, is I need a homepage for the product, and that's not necessarily something that your user stories are going to. Nobody that you were talking to when you did your research was saying, yeah, I want to see a homepage, but it needs to exist. So while you have the individual product, you're also going to need this homepage, and homepage that takes time. Okay, that you're just not inventing a homepage. It takes time, and a lot of the writing that you're about to do is about setting up and building a homepage for this service that resonates with a particular target user that you've identified, and that needs to be represented somewhere here in the story map. So, minor adjustments. The functional piece of this, I think, is working. Let's get the homepage added in there, and let's hit this with the questions about testing, and I would say carry forward. All right, so that's Luigi, and I will come back and leave Luigi some notes. Let's move over here to VS Code and take a look at what Rebecca has for us. I am having to take a moment for a beverage, much like my good friends in the impeachment trial. They have to take a moment for a sip of water. telling you, if I had to go and talk for 4 hours at a time, I would be completely exhausted. So, big props to anybody who does that for a living. Let's hop in here. So, Rebecca, I'm just going to pull in your changes. Pull origin master. See what updates. Lots of stuff updated. All right, so let's go live with this. I just want to look at the page first to see what's here. All right, so there's Meat Silly Candy, and there's the prototype, and you've got customer and stores and contributions and products, and poop, it broke over here. And then, okay, so you are definitely. I mean, one thing I love is that you're getting this content pulled in. Let's go ahead and take a look at your specific questions. Obviously, this is the missing background image that we were looking for yesterday. I just want to inspect element on that. It looks like it's really interesting because it seems like this header is broken. Like something's up with that. I just wanted to go back to your home and let's inspect element here. Yeah, so something's like broken up top. I'm not sure what it is. I just want to go to Okta and make sure it's not broken there as well. Yeah, so something's up here because when we go to Silly Candy, like it's not happening. So something's up there. Imported the hero image, all the text. You're not getting the grid right for some reason. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. Could use some help. And you're also looking at this background image being a gradient. So there's a few things that we can unpack here. Let's go ahead and hop in the code and see what we can fix today. So let's go ahead and close that down. Let's look at this. So there's header, and it's your logo and main nav. Okay, so we'll close that. We'll come back to that. So Scylla hero image, and that's the class. And so we have to call left wide container. So that's that to call right wide container. And what's interesting here is okay, so they're missing the images there. So this is where another div really comes in, and here you have your images, and I'm going to go through and try to find one of the let's find one of the companies. It's not Bed Bath and Beyond. It's and you have so many images that at some point it may be helpful to come through and yeah, so here's Tovolo logo. Let's use that one. So we're gonna say I'm just gonna pick up my path from here. Let's now come down here and say images Tolo. Tovolo logo. Yeah, I gotta do the logo in there. All right, so we've thrown this image in here, and what we're hoping will happen is we'll get an element to the left and a wider column to the right. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna do that. We'll come back, come down. Okay, so now Now this logo is in here, but I'm led to believe that there is, yeah, so there's something going on with regard to the overall wrapper, I believe. And it's probably that we may be missing a div or something. There's a missing component that's not putting a container on this. So let's go ahead and look at that. So all of these sections I'm just going to close down for the moment. And yes, I realize I'm being a little fussy about this. Okay, so these are the sections. This wrapper, let's take a look at main wrapper and what it's doing or not doing for us at the moment. Okay, so it looked like main wrapper had grid assigned to it. And once we took that out, so I'm just going to delete main wrapper. Actually, before I do that, I want to go look and see if I can sort out what it's doing for us. So let's look for main wrapper. That's impossible. So let's look for main wrapper. Okay, there's main wrapper. And main wrapper, it's interesting. There's like some very specific styles happening here. I'm going to delete it away from Silicandy just because I think it's getting in the way at the moment. So let's save that. Let's come back over and okay, so this is working more like I was expecting it to work, which leads me to want to go in and look at. I want to look at the work. I want to look at this. I want to see if main wrapper is being used here. So main wrapper is being used just over the whole thing. It may not actually be doing anything. Okay, so it was it likely was just getting in the way of our Silicandy work. All right, so now that we fixed that, we can come back through. I want to look specifically at what's happening with this. So we've got this section right here, and it appears to me like the width of this image is forcing itself. Yeah, there we go. So the width of the image was forcing itself to go wide. That was a problem, specifically for what your project is attempting to do. So there are a couple of things here that are kind of unique that I want to drill down on. Obviously, you've got images coming in over here that we're still missing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically get us an image in here. The other thing that we need is we need common spacing between these different elements. Right now, this kind of looks like it's reading into that, and that's not really what's happening. So let's go ahead and look at our sections here, and let's just say Scylla. So we'll say section Scylla and a class of Scylla. And what I'll do is in Um, I'll go in here to style, and we'll look for Scylla. Actually, let's look for section. So we have section grayback. So these sections do have padding of 2 rem. I'm gonna do this where I say section with a class of Scylla. I want to see exactly how much space I need to the top and bottom. So I'll say 4, and that doesn't appear to do anything for me. I'll say 10. Still didn't do anything for me. Let's make sure that I am saving that though before I commit that it's over. So Scylla. Yeah, so now let's look at this. Oh, that section's way up here. Yeah, okay. So I need to put that. I wasn't putting it in the desired area for it to make an impact for me. So let's get rid of that. Let's come down here to, yeah. So we'll say section class. It's got all these things going on, and we're also going to say Scylla. And now let's come back over and refresh. Section class Scylla. Section with a class of Scylla. Okay. Let's just give it some crazy padding. It's not quite doing what I want it to do. Oh, because it's up here. That's not. So I keep thinking I'm targeting, and I'm not. I wasn't targeting the right one. So I'm targeting that. So let's dot Scylla. There it is. Okay. So this first thing I want to do here is I want to come in here. Now we are targeting the right class. You can see the difference it's made. The problem is it's overriding other aspects, so I don't necessarily want that to occur. If we got rid of Scylla, like you can see, it comes back in. So this does go back, Rebecca. If you remember, you had a unique way of writing your it's running into conflict with wide container. So to do what I want to do here, I have to actually say padding top and padding bottom, because you're using width. If I remember correctly, there's some sort of different method. Not wide, padding bottom, Chris. Gosh. All right, so let's refresh. There it is. While we can still maintain the width, I don't want that much spacing, but I was wanting to figure out how exactly I needed to do it. We could probably also come back in here and just say padding and call it directly. So we'll try that. See it? Yeah. No, it does not hold. It does not hold because I keep overriding. I keep declaring the width when you've declared the width somewhere else. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to avoid it because you've written width into here, and I can't use I can't write it the way I normally would write it. So let's just say section Scylla padding top. I'm just going to declare it directly. Padding top, padding bottom. Save it. Did that really give me what I was looking for? Save it. No, it did not. So there it goes. Okay. The space was giving me an issue here. All right. So now what we'll do is we'll come back in and fix that Tovlov. Really all I need to do to fix that is to add full width to the image. So image class equals full width. And this is something that I want you to be paying extra special close attention to, Rebecca, because this is something that you're going to run into over and over and over again with your images. And if you just apply that full width, what it's going to do is it's going to say, hey, whatever shape I'm in, make the image the full width of that shape. And because when you lose this, when you lose full width, that happens. Okay? So the easiest way to keep your images from breaking your design is to control the width of the images with full width. And full width is always going to make itself the width of the container that it's in. In this case, it's in the first leg of the design, of the grid, so you're going to make it do that. Now, there is an interesting issue here. I know that you want these two to pair up. All right? So this really isn't a situation where you have to call right all the way down. You do have to call right, but it's really, in this particular instance, more with the individual items. And this is going to seem a bit weird, but I'm going to attempt to make this work for you. So here's to call right, and instead of calling it on the actual design elements of the whole, I'm calling it on the individual image and type that goes with that image. So now what we have here is we have the same design, but you'll notice like this, the other area has gone wide, right? And it's like, well, what's happening? Well, it's because you need the logo to line up. Let's go back and look at your case study really quick. If I can hop over here to Figma, and let's pull up Okta. There's just a unique aspect to your project. You have this area, and I thought it was smart, but I did recognize that it's going to take a little bit of special adjustment to make it work. Okta will load. All right, so here we are. Let's zoom in here. So you have the competition. Okay, so you got a label that's up here. That's fine. But you have this going on side to side. Okay? This requires, you can't just throw your images in here in one column and then throw your text in the other column and hope that it lines up, because it just won't. What you actually have to do is you have to align these across, like these are going to be basically individual sections that are then going to take the two-column design. All right? So you have to line them up like that. So with that in mind, what we're going to do is we're going to come through here, and I'm going to also, is it option? Yeah, there it is. I'm going to turn wrap on so we can see it. These divs, really, you really need a div for each one. Now, for our purposes, I'm going to copy Tovlov over. You will go back through and recreate the image, or you'll connect the appropriate image with this. But this toCall right is applying itself to whatever the children of the div are. And the children of the div happen to be this image and this paragraph. And then when you close that, it ends the usage of CSS grid. I don't know why it put an HTML there, but we'll do it again, except this time I'm just going to copy everything over here, paste it down, we'll bump this in, we'll close the div again. It keeps doing that. I must be hitting something as I go. I apologize about that. We'll come back in, paste it again. We'll move that over. Okay, so we're going to clear that up. So now if we save this and move and come back over, see how these align? Like the logo is always at the top. And at some point, these will stack. Okay? Now what you'll notice is you're probably going to want to go in and do some tighter editing on the image that you're using, because there's a lot of padding around that image, and you can see it when it goes responsive right here. So I would re-edit those images, but as you come out, it's already responsive. It's already going left to right, and then when it's in a mobile design, it's going up and down. So that's an adjustment that you're going to want to make. Additionally, as you work through this, let's look down and see if it's still broken at the bottom. No, I mean it's you've got your content in here, and now I really believe this is where you need to come through and begin editing your way down. Really, for you, it's all about adding these images in. So you know this so let's see here. This is wide container silly. So this is you can come through here and say competition. So competition, that's competition. This is business. This is this is intro. And by doing this, you allow yourself an opportunity to see inside those sections without necessarily having to really deal with like open them up and see what's going on inside. I'm going to close these down. So now you've got this H3 value prop, and it's interesting because I really believe like there's a job within the job to do on these particular items. So this is div, this is section. There is no div to close, so I'm just going to do that. So now I can actually close the section for competition, and this next section is the customer. So customers. All right, and so on. So there's a bit of cleaning up the code to do. I do want to finish this though. So we got to call right. Let's look back at your design. So you have an image here that's going to come in with value prop. All right. So you could do the same thing where you say, all right, well, I'm going to call image. I'm going to call this as well. All right. And in the first column, I'm going to walk you through this because this is where I suspect it could get a little confusing for you. Let's close that tag. There we go. So this is call right. If we save this and look at it, it's going to do some weird stuff. It's like, oh, okay, the value prop is over here now, and then Silicandy intro is here. Then it like bounces back and forth. Why? Well, it's because it's applying this call right to everything that's a child of the grid. So I'm going to bring in image class here, and I'm going to put it here because you're going to have an image. You're going to have an image that's off to the left, and then you need text that's off to the right. So I'm just going to put this text, all of this text here. I'm going to put it in a div. And then I'm going to move all of this over so that we recognize that it's inside of that div. So now this to call right is going to apply. There's going to be an image space held off to the left, and then our big wide text is going to be to the right. Let's save it and look at it. And as you can see, you're going to come back with this image, right? But it's going to, so while that kid photo is going to be here, your text is still in alignment with the rest of this. All right. And again, like I said, for you, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for you to come through and really like bring those images in so that this starts coming together. Right now, the text doesn't feel like it's doing much because there's no images here yet. But this begins to move around really fast once we start structuring this to have the images, and I really think that this comes together super quick. So let's get the images in. We'll come back to the gradient thing. That's a minor update, but I want to get the images in here. Okay, so update those, and we'll move forward. But the good news is your structure wasn't broken. It was just that we had a weird main wrapper that wasn't doing anything, so we just needed to get rid of that. But yeah, this is coming together pretty fast now. So let's get those images in. There's still a little brokey something here, though. Let's see here. Products. So we get down here to the products. To call left. H1. Oh, the section doesn't close. I believe that's it. So let's come back in here and fix that. So we're looking for our stores, our contribution, our products. There's a section. There's a section. Yeah, I'm just gonna close this section for right now, because you've got another section that's opening before that section's closing. I don't necessarily know if you need that right now. Yeah, so okay. Well, that's fixed for the moment. We'll come back and adjust that. That's further down the page. I want to get all this stuff sorted out before we worry about that. So I need images in here. So let's focus on like images, really pretty much as you're looking through here. Like the next big thing I want to look at is I want to look at these percentages. I've outlined how to do this left-right thing with the divs. I really think that for you, it's just let's get these two knocked out. We'll be working on this tomorrow. If you basically can replicate like this image construction, you can do this one. You can do this one. You may need a little help here, but you can still do the 2-column thing and like dump those logos in, and then create another 2-column. It's really straightforward. All the code, everything that you need is already in the file. It's really just let's come down and really when we get down here, I still feel like there's a bit of work that needs to happen to sort out what exactly is going on. So maybe tomorrow we're down here in the products, but I don't see this as like a big crazy build. I think you're really close to having it. So let's push forward and get those images in so that we can see this begin to really take shape. All right. Final thing I want to take a look at really quickly is, and I'm checking the feed to see if anybody else has come through. By the way, Fonzo, really great work on your working in product design questions. It's so important that when you're considering a path to go down, like Fonzo identified, like he really wants to get into the visual stuff. I think it's really important to understand what your path is and what you're really interested in, That's why that's why that particular chapter on working in product design is so important. Everybody's path is unique. No two designers are traveling the same road. Um, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna pop out of Rebecca's actually let's do the thing that I always forget to do. We're gonna push git add git commit -m feedback loop updates git push origin master. Oh gosh, Chris, that is where having a faulty keyboard, thank you my MacBook Pro, is killing me. It's like the extra T's, extra E's, extra spaces. It's just, if you see an error, I swear to God, I'm not trying to insert them. I promise. It's just, I'm typing with a inferior keyboard, and you gotta, I have to wonder how long I'm really gonna put up with it. Let's see here. Nice hat. Yeah, you know, here's the interesting thing, Fonzo. I don't necessarily know. Fonzo's mentioning that, you know, finding a junior role in a senior, to working with a good senior would be ideal. With your background, I think that there's a partnership. Yeah, thanks. I saw they were advertising a new Mac Pro. I don't know if I would actually trust a new Mac Pro at this point. It's, you know, this is the second one I've had that's had a bad keyboard. Luckily, I got to give the other one that was really bad back to my old employer. Like, I got to saddle them with that crap. But hey, they gave money to Peter Thiel, or they took money from Peter Thiel, so I don't really care if they get saddled with a crappy computer. Not bitter, just, you know, impeachment trials and whatnot. That, you know, I'm just thinking, you know, when I work for a company, do I want them supporting somebody who's currently on being impeached? I just, you know, I'm just throwing that out there. I'm not mad about it. I don't work there anymore. But you got to think, you know, the guy who backed my company gave the guy who's currently going through impeachment like $1.5 million. Like, do I want to be associated with that? I just don't. I just, the answer is no. The answer is no. It's kind of like, I mean, I'm not throwing them under the bus for doing it. I'm just saying that what they did was really, really terrible. Like, just a really bad idea. Don't take money from fascist kids. That's all I'm saying. Back to this. Don't take money from fascists. That's today's feedback loop. Let's go back. Let's get out of that for a second. Let's go. Let's go look at. We got Rebecca's project, and she's doing great. Let's go ahead and look at a new one. So we're gonna open, and I gotta find, because I just pulled this project down. This is Melanie's project. We may have to do some restructuring here, because I have to kind of laptop system 76. I know. So what's interesting here is Melanie's project has a README at the top, and it has a README inside. So here's the, you know, this is the README. This is the starter. What you're actually looking to do is basically, you want to have you want this like MP Gatsby here. That really needs to live like where the portfolio is. So we kind of actually, I want to get out of this for a second. I need to have terminal. I need a new terminal. Thank you. There we go. So what we actually need to have here is we need to have the ability to fire up Gatsby. So if I said Gatsby develop, what you're likely gonna see is it's like, hey, there's nothing to develop here. All right, and that's because I have to cd into np Gatsby, and now let's try to run Gatsby develop, and it's saying, oh, you can't do that, and that's because I'm not in the project yet. I have to cd into the source folder, and let's ls. And now there's components, images, pages. So now if I run Gatsby develop, Gatsby develop can only run for a Gatsby site, not a valid package. So there's something wrong with this build. And you know, to show you how this typically functions, I'm going to open up another project. So I'm going to say new window, and we'll open up new Pragmatic. Because you're getting a peek behind under the hood here today, kids. So let's go here. So here we are. So what you'll see here is, like, from the top level, I should be able to just run like Gatsby develop from right here. And it's operating at a project level. So really, when I come back over to Portfolio Practice, I don't need to be in the SRC folder. I need to be right here, and this should be where I can run Gatsby develop. And it says problem loading local command. Gatsby may not be installed in your site's node modules. You need to run, perhaps you need to run npm install. You might need to delete your package lock JSON. So let's see here. For performance reasons. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to need to do some work here on your project. Luckily, I'm meeting with Melanie a little later this morning, so we've got an opportunity to talk this through. But it is interesting that the default starter is not functioning. Now, it could be that I have, like, there's a shell. There's something called shell here that's odd. I don't normally see that in here. It could be that what I'm seeing here is just that yours is slightly ahead of mine. So it could be that I need to run, like, it says npm install. npm install what though? It's not giving me a whole lot. But what I'm suspecting is that because yours is a newer install, it may have a slightly different version of Gatsby, and that's why the Gatsby my installed version of Gatsby isn't up to date. So we're gonna break stuff. Let's just break stuff. I like breaking stuff. As you can see, it is definitely going through and refreshing a lot of the packages that I have currently installed. This is always kind of scary, to be completely honest with you. Anytime you run an update, you run the risk of running into another issue somewhere along the way. I have felt like I've burned down projects before, and all I really needed to do is recompile them. And that's something that you will learn how to fix. I have a low severity vulnerability. I could run audit fix. I just want to see if I can get Gatsby to run though. Gatsby develop. And let's see here. Crossing our fingers. Yes, I would like to run it on another port. And it's going to push this to another place. And as you can see, it is deciding that it wants to boot up. So there was an image issue that probably didn't cause a problem. Oh, it did cause a problem. So error in compiling HTML.js. See our docs for debugging. So let's go through here and src images. src images. Yeah, that's not there anymore. That's interesting. It's also interesting that like a missing icon would cause it to error out like that. So I'm gonna go into where is the file at that crapped out on me? It does not exist as defined in Gatsby config.js. This should be pretty so yeah, so if I pull out that icon, which is right there, save. Let's try to run this again. Yeah, I've never seen it choke on a like a missing icon. That's really weird. And if it was just an icon, I would be shocked. I also should file a ticket if it's a missing icon. Image define. Yeah. That. Okay, so it worked. It worked. A missing icon blew up Gatsby. That's a first. Never seen that occur. Let's go ahead and open this. And yay! Melanie's actually been creating stuff. Okay. So this is really cool. I want to give Melanie props because Melanie went through and she's going to be using Gatsby to recreate her portfolio. And she's never worked with Gatsby before. And I'm really super excited to see that she was able to watch a couple of tutorial videos that I created. And in case you're wondering, and people have been asking, like, hey Chris, is there front end curriculum to like go through? Like, I want to do more of the front end stuff. And while it's great that I've clearly been watching a lot of Razorback basketball and impeachment hearings and Megadeth album breakdowns, if you come over to my actual channel, what you'll find is that hey, look, we're live streaming. If you come over to the actual channel, you will find front end for designers, and down here at the end is getting started with Gatsby.js and creating components. And these are the two videos that Melanie was working with. You know, it's like 25 minutes of like, hey, let's start using Gatsby from the ground up. And as you can see, Melanie has produced something, and she's that broke, but that's okay. The whole purpose of this is, can you get something up and running? As I stated before, I know a little bit about using Gatsby. The entire New Pragmatic site is built on Gatsby. Like, everything about New Pragmatic is a Gatsby product. So I have absolutely no doubt that we're going to be pushing forward. But Melanie, I always, before I start collaborating with people, I always like to check a couple of things. One, can they push to GitHub? If you can push to GitHub, we can collaborate until the cows come home. Two, can I get your environment to sync up with mine? If I can't, can I debug it before we meet? Obviously, there was a icon issue. That icon is not in there. I don't know why it's not in there, but we will circle back to fix that. But yay, Melanie, you got it up and running. You got it up and running. You added some images. You started clearly messing around with it. We're gonna have a fun meeting later today. But it is definitely good to see that you were able to get this far on your own. That shows me that you're really digging in, and I understand that just to get this far with a framework that you've never used before sometimes can feel like you're banging your head against the wall, but you did it. That's great. Today we're going to really leapfrog this thing forward. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the feedback loop for Wednesday. I got nothing else to add to it. I don't. I appreciate all your patience as I was busy working through things. And if I had to end this with one bit of advice, the impeachment things are going on, and it's the debates are tonight. Um, uh, Regardless of your politics, stay plugged in on that stuff. There's a site that a friend of mine runs called Impeachment FYI. Um, there's too much news and noise out there. It gets distracting. I would advise, if you're really interested in keeping up to date with all that stuff, rather than watching all of that, just subscribe to his newsletter. It gives you a daily breakdown at like 7 o'clock at night, and it'll allow you to really focus on your projects, your writing, your editing. The things that you really need to do. Nothing that's happening in politics is going to put food directly on your table. Learning and growing and taking care of your business is really what we all should be focused on that. But if you're really interested in the political stuff, go subscribe to a good newsletter, and that way you can like put the blinders down, not worry about what's happening out there, focus on you and your work, and then get that daily update at the end of the day, because there's so much stuff. It's just like a wave of crap, and you've just got to find a way to shut that stuff out. I struggle with it, and one of the ways that I'm getting through it is I'm not hopping on social media during the day. I'm just relying on like the newsletter for an update at the end of the day. But Impeachment FYI is the one that I rely on. Anyway, without further ado, Chris Courtney, New Pragmatic. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we will chat again tomorrow. Take care.